It was a chilling night in Coos Bay, Oregon in 1953. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow upon the dark, foreboding forest. Tim had parked his car near the edge of the woods, the gnarled trees silhouetted against the dim moonlight, in hopes of spending a thrilling night with his girlfriend, Jenny. But Jenny was already anxious, having heard the countless terrifying tales that shrouded the haunted forest. The locals whispered in hushed tones about the sinister legend of the Bandage Man. In 1935, a monstrous figure resembling a mummy had terrorized the area, earning the infamous moniker. It was said to be a logger who had ventured into the forest to cut trees, only to vanish without a trace. His wife, Laura, had searched for him alongside the townsfolk, but their efforts had yielded no sign of him. A year after his mysterious disappearance, another logger met a gruesome end. His organs were grotesquely carved out, and the townspeople's fear grew. 2 weeks later, yet another logger fell victim, his hands and legs severed. The sheriff, desperate to quell the rising terror, had sealed off a half-mile radius around the area where the gruesome incidents occurred, forbidding anyone from entering the dreaded forest. Despite the horrifying legends, Tim was an adventurous soul, unable to resist the temptation of exploring the forest. He convinced Jenny to join him, her fear palpable. To reassure her of their safety, Tim showed her a rifle he had stashed in the truck. With shaky determination, Jenny reluctantly stepped out of the car, and together they ventured into the heart of the ominous woods. The moonlight filtered through the dense canopy, casting eerie shadows on the path ahead. The only sounds that pierced the silence were the haunting hoots of owls and the eerie chirping of nocturnal insects. Amidst the quiet, a faint, heartbeat-like sound persisted. Curiosity got the better of them, and they followed the strange noise to a tree that appeared charred, its leaves burnt to a crisp. A pungent odor of freshly burned wood hung in the air. In the pitch-black forest, the heartbeat sound grew louder, as if the tree itself were alive and had a pulsating heart. Tim, unnerved yet compelled, leaned in closer to listen. The sensation was unsettling, as though the forest itself were alive. Shaken, he urged Jenny to leave the forest immediately, deeming their adventure more than enough for one night. They hurried back to the car, with Tim clutching the rifle on his lap. As he revved the engine and turned on the headlights, a man draped in tattered, bloody bandages suddenly materialized in front of the car. The harsh light illuminated his horrific visage, revealing only piercing yellow eyes peering through the bandages. In his gnarled hand, he clutched a blood-stained axe. Fear and adrenaline coursed through Tim as he slammed the car into reverse, trying to flee from the ghastly figure. Panic made him press the gas pedal too hard, causing the car's rear to collide with a tree. The impact sent Jenny's head jerking forward, striking the front panel, and left both of them momentarily dazed. In the darkness, the Bandage Man approached. Tim regained his senses faster and fumbled for the rifle, attempting to take aim. But the spectral figure moved with unnatural swiftness, opening the car door and thrusting the rifle's barrel outward. Tim fired, but the bullet missed its target, striking a tree in the distance. In one swift motion, the Bandage Man hurled Tim from the car, leaving him sprawled on the forest floor. With chilling determination, the Bandage Man raised his axe and brutally drove it into Tim's skull. Blood sprayed from the wound onto the ground as life faded from Tim's eyes. Jenny, who had been regaining her senses, witnessed this horrifying scene, and her screams pierced the night. The Bandage Man's malevolent gaze shifted to her. He wrenched the bloodied axe from Tim's lifeless body, and the blood continued to drip from the axe. Jenny scrambled out of the car and fled in terror, her heart pounding. The moonlight guided her path, revealing the dense trees around her. As she reached the main road, she saw the distant lights of the town. Panic fueled her every step as she sprinted toward safety. After what felt like an eternity, Jenny spotted a parked car by the side of the road, its driver's door hanging open. She screamed for help, and a man who had been relieving himself nearby responded. He zipped up his pants and cautiously approached her, trying to make sense of her distress. Jenny, tears streaming down her face, urgently tried to explain the danger of the Bandage Man and implored him to leave the area at once. The stranger, albeit bewildered, assisted her into the passenger seat of his car. However, as he reached for the driver's door, a sudden, horrifying thud reverberated through the forest. The Bandage Man had struck again, driving his axe into the back of the man's head. Jenny's heart raced as she screamed, watching the man's lifeless body fall to the ground, the axe protruding from his skull. In a surge of fear and adrenaline, Jenny knew she had no choice but to take the wheel. She floored the gas pedal and sped towards the town, her mind racing with the horror she had just witnessed. Her sole mission was to reach the sheriff and alert him to the unspeakable terror that lurked within the forest. The Bandage Man was still out there, waiting for his next victim in the darkness of Coos Bay, Oregon.